It doesn't matter if we're talking about music production. It doesn't matter if we're talking about health or how to fix your car or how to have a better marriage or how to grow a sixth finger. I don't know if there's a mentor for that. The more I think about it, the more I'm starting to see that is absolutely true, though, because if you think about it, when someone is struggling inside of their Ableton project, their Logic project, they're inside of their DAW, and they can't figure something out, how do I bring up the automation lanes, or how do I duplicate this clip, or whatever it is, they seek a mentor. That mentor is usually in the form of YouTube, right? They go and they find someone that has already figured it out so that they can teach them, right? When someone buys a course, that's kind of like the next step of YouTube, or the next step of mentorship, if you will, because it's a pre-recorded form of mentorship, right? Where someone is usually describing some type of system that they made or some kind of process that they've discovered, some kind of proprietary thing. And so that's another form of mentorship. But if we get to what you're talking about, which is kind of like the tippity top of the mentorship pyramid, it's the one-on-one. It's the, you as the mentee, you are bearing your soul. Here is all of my flaws. Here are my concerns. Here are my fears. Here are my blind spots. And then the mentor in real time is looking at them and saying, you thought this was your big thing, but it's actually not. It's actually this. This is actually what's killing you inside. Am I getting that right?
You're sharp, bro. You're a ninja. I think to kind of just like summarize that, it's like all the digital ways to consume information, they really lay out the how. This is how you do this. But proximity unpacks the why. This is why you're doing it. And I think that's very important, because in proximity, when you're close to someone, whether it's in real time or, like, hey, mentor, I can help unpack, well, why are you making that decision? Can I help you identify that? Like, why do you keep you've brought me this track and I'm seeing a pattern here. You keep telling me it's the vocals. I don't like my vocals. Well, why? Why don't you like the way your vocals sound? And they think, well, I've gone through the hows. I know how to do this, but I've never taken the time or someone to help me extract the why. And most of the time, and this is exactly what happened. There was a student of mine in my mentorship program who came and was like, well, I don't know, the vocals sound really weird. And what's wrong with my EQ? Like, how can I EQ this? And I go, whoa, slow down. Like, I don't think this is an EQ problem. And so with a little bit of prodding and just asking and getting to the why, we unpack something way deeper, that this person never liked their vocals because they were told growing up that they had never had someone believe in them growing up. And so they never believed any of the music they were making was good enough. I was like, whoa. It doesn't always have to go that deep, but we went there. And then I challenged that person, go ahead and bypass your whole channel strip, your whole vocal channel strip. We bypassed all the plugins and realized, do you like the way it sounds? I said, yeah, I really love the way it sounds without anything on there. So it wasn't an EQ problem. It was right down to like, maybe it was a melody problem. Like, it was something a lot easier to just like get to. And then the EQ stuff just fell right into place. And again, it can sound like, well, YouTube is bad. No, like, courses are great. Like, if anything, courses give you a step-by-step, curated, laid out pathway to understand and accomplish the how. But there are some nuances in that between the modules, like module 1 and module 2, there's something between there that I'm having a hard time wrestling with. And I just want to meet them where they're at. It's also important to realize you don't need sometimes the person with the huge marquee value, right? Well, I got to find a pro who's been doing this for 85 years. You can also just tap into someone who's maybe just 2 or 3 steps ahead of you.
I love what you're saying, and I love analogies. And some people get mad at me for my analogies. Well, guess what? This is my podcast. I'm going to go with an analogy. If we move this into another area with applying with what you're saying, I love the analogy of building a house, because I recently bought a house, and so I know it goes into all that. And so, if I'm understanding you correctly, if we use the analogy of building the house, someone's coming to you. Let's say that we got the general contractor, ill factor contracting, best best real estate company in the nation, and I come to you and I say, I am so displeased. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to build my kitchen. And you're saying, okay, whoa. So what's going on? Like, why not? What's going on? You know, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. I need this cabinet here, and I need this type of stone for my table. And you're like, hold on. Let's just talk this through. Why? It's like, well, the reason why is because there's so much water running through my house. There's so much water through my. I have to have the cabinet up there. I have to have the stone thing over here. And you're like, why? Wait a second. Hold on. Why is there so much water running through your house, my guy? And it's like, well, because I live in a lake. I live in a lake, my dude. And you're like, why are you in the lake? You know, because my family's in a lake. My family has lived in this lake. I have to live in this lake. They say if I don't live in this lake, then I'm not going to be a part of the family. And you're like, well, my guy, if you move out of the lake, if you go into the shore, you're even down the road, even better. You get some rock, build on the rock, not a sandy foundation.
Yeah, you took this a whole another. Yeah, I mean that's essentially it, right? It's like, why? What's the issue when the issue is not the issue?
Ivan, this makes so much sense. It's resonating with me. All the logical receptors in my brain are firing. I'm like, yes, you know, this sounds like pure truth that I'm hearing, and at the same time, I can see that this is hard to see in oneself. I can tell that even though I agree with you, it's kind of hard to tell when I haven't gotten down to that like bedrock of what's actually going on. And I'm sure I'm speaking for a lot of people in DAW Nation as well. So is ultimately the answer, if you can't get down to the bedrock yourself, is that you need some form of mentorship in a variety of ways to help you get down to that bedrock to figure out what you need to do. Does that make sense?
Well, go back to that statement you made earlier when somebody doesn't find full pleasure of just making music in a vacuum. It's part of this continuous journey where it connects with others. I think we are created for relationship. We're created for community. We're created to not just be, you know, solitude in confinement in, you know, if anything, the crazy pandemic showed us that, like, how crazy that was. Like, I need to be outside. I need to commute. I need to connect with somebody. So I think we're just made to connect. And so there is this concept of iron sharpening iron, the ability of having someone just kind of view some of those blind spots. And I think we're just wired. We're hardwired that way to really build community, to lean into that, to just say, you know, I could use someone to help me get there. And in one form or another, you know, a YouTube channel does that. And, it's like understanding and connecting with others that are able to resonate with where you're at, what you're doing. What is the root cause of me not being able to finish my records? The good of the current age we're in, especially with AI and all this stuff, is that information is so readily available. It's becoming cheaper and cheaper, right? It's not as valued as much because it's so easy to access. But because of the nature of the ease of access to that information, we can subtly feel that the outcome of that information should result in just as easy of an outcome. Because I can YouTube how does Skrillex make that crazy bass and then do it, I was like, well, I should have the same impact as Skrillex. I should have the same, I should be at the same state. And then what happens with that disconnect is there's discontentment. So I know we're getting like really foo-foo stuff. Look, there's a balance here too. There is such need for the pragmatic. There is a purpose for that specific EQ and that, modulating synth. There are some really cool stuff there because if you don't know how to acquire that or do that or use those tools, you don't get to grow in articulating your music vision better. If you've only got a 3-channel EQ, you're missing a lot of bands that you can tweak. So what I'm getting at here, though, this is the hard stuff that overflows into the pragmatic. Having communal, that relational aspect is so needed. And like I said, it can really help you identify the ways that you can grow in confidence in making your music. So if you don't have it, it will just probably take a lot longer. Is where I'm getting at, right? I tell people all the time who want to, apply for my mentorship. It's like, well, I can't do it right now, and I go, look, eventually you'll get there. It'll be maybe 2 years, 5 years, 7. I don't know, but you do it enough, you'll get there. But if you're looking to the kill shot, if you're looking like, man, not only do I want to get there quicker, I just want to be able to work smarter, not harder. How do I lay a good foundation so that I know how? It's like I really want to help people not just on what to learn, but how to learn. So you're not dependent on Google Maps. You can actually read a compass. You can read a map and you actually know where you want to go yourself.
So to really drive this point home, what I would love, and I think what DAW Nation would love is a real-time example. And either that can be, you bringing up an example of if you have a really great story from a student, or we could do it with me in real time. If we want to, we could apply some of these principles right now with me, or you can share a personal story about you.
Let's go with you. Let's just do it raw. Like, well, what are you walking through, man?
I can start just word vomiting and tell you what I'm walking through right now. Is there usual questions that you ask someone to kind of like extract those answers out, or what do you think?
I think 90% of the power just comes from listening. Being a good listener is just going to allow you to understand and ask the right questions. So, yeah, man, what's on your mind?
If I'm being real, I feel like there is a lot of shame that I feel towards DAW Nation, in that, and I feel like it's getting in the way. I feel like it's really getting in the way. If I'm being compassionate with myself, if I'm putting it in a very optimistic light, it's, I've made small business problems. I've made small business choices, right? I didn't know how to scale. Clearly we recorded an episode 3 years ago, never came out. Here we are recording a second time. I kind of feel like a failure. I had a good thing going. I have my reasons for, things happening and me needing to take a step back and reframe and stuff like that. But there is a lot of like, I don't know what to say, like icky feelings with that. There's a lot of baggage that I'm feeling with that I feel like it's keeping me from feeling confident and feeling like, oh, it's okay, like it's cool. You learn, you made a mistake. Let's just move forward. So what about that? Do you think that's something worth talking about?
Do you think it's worth talking about?
I do.
Okay, there you go. This is going to have an impact on the culture you create for DAW Nation. And if you're not healthy, and if you're running around breaking down with this imposter syndrome, you're only going to be operating from a place where what's overflowing from you is just, isn't refreshing water. It's water that's poisoned with doubt, with insecurities. And what ends up happening is you make decisions on your business based on frantic energy that just like, okay, what's that person want? Okay, I'll just make that, right? And what's this thing? It's like, okay, what's the culture you're setting for the way that you're standing in DAW Nation will echo and reflect towards everyone else in there. Like if you're not healthy and if you're doubting the whole thing, how do you think everybody else is going to receive that?
There's the logical side of my brain. Again, like my logical feelers are absolutely like check. Absolutely. I agree with you. What does one do now with that information?
Well, dude, let me ask you this question. What do you want to do?
I don't want to feel that way.
But this is more than just telling you to stop feeling that way. Like break it down to the nuts and bolts. And this could be tricky because it could be easily positioned as like, not just what's the lifestyle choice you want? And like what does a dream week look like for you, right? What does a dream month look like for you? And how is DAW Nation a part of that? You don't need to feel the pressure to answer this right away, but these are just the things that you should probably sit down and just chew on. You can park there, but if you're like, bro, honestly, this is what a dream month would look like. If DAW Nation was bringing X amount, if it was just humming this way, if it was doing X, Y, and Z, extrapolate it from that. Like, what do you want to do? There needs to be alignment there with the very foundation of the business, which is why I literally let go of my whole team, my staff. It's like, this is where I'm going. I'm going to go with mentorship. All the things that we were doing to hold up the spinning plates, I'm going to shut that down because it's not an alignment.
To provide a really good answer, I think I really need to think about that because I think if I'm guessing, if I'm theorizing, especially in the context of the conversation that we're having, I think I'm still several layers too high to getting down to the core. Meaning, for example, I feel shame about how things have played out with DAW Nation the last couple of years. I think several layers down means, but why do you feel that shame? And then whatever the answer is, but why do you feel that? Yeah, that's what I feel like I need to go down a few more levels with that.
The real question was asked, why do you feel that shame? Where do you think that shame stems from? Here's how we can blindly bypass that. We can say, well, I can stay frantic, I can stay busy. Maybe I could do another podcast episode. I put out another course. I'll do all these things because they keep me numb and busy from actually answering the one question that would solve all the questions. So if the shame thing is like, well, hey, I know as an entrepreneur, as a business, I feel shame. What do you feel shame? Well, that my business hasn't actually reached the full potential that others have told me it can, or that I believe it can. And therefore, I feel ashamed that I haven't tapped into that potential. That's something I struggled with. Like, man, I know that Beat Academy could be here. And I see all these other companies, Mixed with the Masters, Pyramid. I know these guys personally. Mastering.com. Like, I know the guys. We talk regularly. And when I hear the numbers they're making, man, why am I not there? I feel shamed because I'm discontent. Why am I discontent? Right? That now you're starting to get to the real crux of it. And if you can meet the need that's really at the core of this, then your business can actually be aligned with the real intention. And when your business is aligned, you don't need to sell 300 courses this month. You see where I'm getting at? Like the busy, frantic work happens in, we didn't have enough course sales this week. We didn't have enough course sales this month. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but is that aligned with what it is that you really want? And the shame comes from not answering that, not getting to the heart of it. It's like, man, what is it that I really want? And I feel ashamed that I'm not there. I'm not thinking about it. And so I'll stay busy. I'll stay really productive. I'll just do a bunch of episodes. I'll just do this. I'll do. And the shame doubles down because you look back the past year, bro, I've been doing. I got nothing to show for it. That's where the shame really piles on. Does that make sense? Does that resonate?
Absolutely, it does. In fact, there's the part of me, like I said, the very logical part of me and the emotional part of me actually is saying this is checking out. It's eerie how many things that you said absolutely apply to what I've been living through and what I've been experiencing. And you have given me so much to think about. And my knee-jerk reaction of what is being said right now is I have to spend some really serious time in front of my whiteboard mapping out the thoughts of why do I feel this way, and I guess doing the self work in order to make the mentor work more rich. Is that an appropriate thing to do?
Well, absolutely, man. Because here's the opposite end of that, right? Then you tap into what's called the synthetic economy. You catch drift of marketers marketing to marketers marketing marketers. And you catch drifts of people like, do this. So there's a lot of noise. And without doing the inner work, one is tempted to see the noise and buy into the neon lights that say, you can run a business, or you can structure it like this. You can do all these things. So get the right email copy, get this. It's like, oh, okay, that's what I need to achieve what I think is the success I'm going for. And then what happens is you and I will get caught into the hamster wheel of that. Buy this, do another course, do another thing, do a webinar, do all these things. And it's like, oh, okay. We're hung up and hung out on, strung out on strategies. And thinking frameworks is the salvation. But no, what you have to do is really tap in. It's like, well, what do I want to do? And where's the value in what I'm doing? And you should actually just sit down next to your wife and be like, what do I want to do? Because she'll know. That's that communal component, right? She'll draw out of those blind spots because you're already like this. Like, I think I want to do this. No, man, tap into somebody who knows you. It's like, hey, and then be faithful with little so you can be faithful with much. Just find like one or a small group of people that you can just pour into that are willing to commit and pay you for, whether it's a course creation or something, and double down and say, where's the real value at? Because that true value is what I take to the marketplace. Because then it's just like you're caught in the noise. Oh, somebody told me if I really want to make, if I want a 50K month this year, I have to do X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to do that. Say, well, who told you that that's what you should be doing, Wyatt?
This is great, man. And I certainly hope that by me saying this next comment, it doesn't seem like a deflection, because it's not. It's me trying to apply it to DAW Nation, right? I really hope that DAW Nation just heard what we said and kind of extracted out the name Wyatt for their name and the name DAW Nation for their brand. Because yes, obviously that was extremely valuable for me, but really the pure value comes from whoever is listening and applying it to themselves and being like, I really hope there's a lot of people walking away from this conversation and then being like, I'm going to go do what Wyatt's going to go do. I'm going to go sit down with my wife, my best friend, ChatGPT, whoever, your mom, your dad, whoever you trust, and kind of have that, kind of have like a shadow work session where you're extracting out that information and allowing that person to push back and be like, are you sure we're at bedrock right now? Are you sure? I feel like we're still a few layers up, and to help them get down all that way. DAW Nation, listen very closely. This is not the end to this content. This was a teeny tiny little snippet from our full episode. You can check out the full episode in the link in the description. And when you go to the free episode, you can get a free pack over there. So go check it out right now. Why are you still here? Get out of here. Go check it out. We'll see you over there.